Welcome to the final episode of the Big Hit for the fall 2018 semester and season 19. My name's Elliot Hicks. If you don't remember me from last year, I'm the director of this shindig now. And even though I haven't been on camera much this year, I will be today along with pretty much most of the rest of our crew. We're going to start with an NFL roundtable with our host Josh Nist, Jake Taylor, Nick Dudowski, Jake Slobodnik, and Stephen Langdon Jr. Then we'll move to a college football roundtable. We just had the college football playoff and all the bowl games get announced. Jake Slobodnik will host that with Jake Spagnol, Garrett Clark, Hunter Mitchell, and Michael Surma. Then we'll move on to the NHL with the Culture Cast crew. You can check that out on thepen.org. Nick Dudowski hosts that with Mike Costa and Jake Taylor. Then Stephen Langdon Jr. and I will break down the UEFA Champions League as it moves towards the last 16. And then we've got a little surprise for you mixed in there. You have to wait and see that. Thanks for tuning in to our special hour-long episode to end off the fall 2018 semester.
And welcome into the Big Hit. I'm first time hosting Josh Nist here to talk about some football, more importantly some NFL football. In my left we got Jake Splodnik and Stephen Langland, and to my right we have Nick Dudowski and Jake Taylor. Let's get right into this, boys.
Let's go.
The Sunday night football game was an absolute chaos in Heinz Field as the Steelers blew a 16-point lead at home for the first time ever to lose to the LA Chargers. Where do we even start with all the wild events throughout this game? Who wants to take the floor first?
I'll start. You see this? When you see Mike Tomlin grab the red flag and he throws it on the field, you damn well know that their challenge is going to be a complete waste of a timeout because that challenge is not getting overturned in the Steelers' way. He's lost his last 9 challenges. The man, I don't know who's telling him to go challenge any type of play. Maybe it wasn't that big of a deal in the game. Maybe it was. I can't tell you, but all I know it was a terrible play. I'm sorry, Mike Tomlin. I know you're watching this. Get out of town.
Don't be sorry about it. Mike Tomlin needs to know right from wrong. I don't know who's telling him that, but as we mentioned before, that wasted challenge is poor clock management on the Steelers' part. My big secret to Steelers really overhauling everything and improving, firing Coach Tomlin, firing Keith Butler, and firing Danny Smith, the special teams coach. Because let's face it, they put the special teams on Sunday. But going offside 3 times, the final play to surrender the last field goal of the game that gave the Chargers the win. How do you do that?
I don't know, man. And you know what? The Steelers stink, man. From head to toe, the Steelers. I'm sorry, I don't know where I'm going with this right now. We're gonna cut this out.
All right.
Steelers.
I lost my train of thought literally as you were talking.
Steelers are something that my dog would leave in the yard every morning when I take her out. Wow. I'm going to say that right now. That's how bad they stink this year.
Steve's saying
wow. I mean,
Steve's saying that, but look what jersey he's got on.
Okay, don't be talking trash on my team, okay? But anyway, I know the Jets are bad. But anyway,
trash enough.
Ben Roethlisberger did not play well whatsoever, overthrowing wide receivers several times, including the one in the end zone that could have really probably cemented the game right there because they were up big, and then after that they just kind of went downhill. But throughout the majority of the game, Ben Roethlisberger just kept throwing over his wide receivers, and I think that was a big issue for him because they did well on defense in the first half, but then like once the offense kind of fell apart, the entire team just collapsed within itself.
Well, let's also not forget the referees. They were terrible.
They were terrible. That was the worst officiating of any game I've ever seen in my life.
Why can you not replay a play like that and restart? Why can't you replay that? Why can't you challenge that kind of play?
Well, there was also on the final play of the drive. I know there was that missed false start on the Chargers.
It was a total touchdown.
But let's also not forget the last field goal. Artie Burns did not go offsides. Video evidence has proved that he did not go offside, so the field goal shouldn't have counted in the first place. The referees are terrible. I don't know where they're getting. I think we're going back to 2013 with the age of the replacement refs.
Yeah.
I want to see Gene Steratore come back. I want to see Ed Hockley come back. Actually, I want to see any dead referee from the 70s come back, because at least they knew how to call a game.
I agree.
Yeah, but you can't blame it all on the refs.
I'm not, but they had a huge part of it.
The Steelers just completely blew that game.
Yeah.
The refs just helped them blow that game.
They did, and you can tell anytime, I always say this, anytime Big Ben plays well, the team goes through Big Ben. If Big Ben plays well, the Steelers could win the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
It's all on Big Ben's back, and I mean that's saying a lot. He's not like obviously you have other players to go, but it's Big Ben. Like if
He
Tom
is the
Brady
leader
plays
of the
like
team.
yeah,
He
Tom
needs to go
Brady
out there
plays
and drive
bad,
the team.
the Patriots don't win the Super Bowl. It's simple as that. Big Ben
Exactly.
doesn't play bad. And this year with wide receiver and quarterback duos, Big Ben and Antonio Brown, that connection right there has the most overthrown, underthrown, and AB has the most uncatchable passes thrown his way out of any wide receiver in the NFL right now. And it's because he's targeted so much, one, but Big Ben's just off his game. I don't know what it is. I don't know if his wife's not giving him what he wants at home or something because he's playing bad.
That connection, though, also has the most touchdowns.
They do.
as we speak
They do.
right now.
That's because Antonio Brown saves Ben. That's why.
I wouldn't go
Debate
that
for another day.
Well, plus you
Debate
have
for another day.
Antonio Brown does not drop catches. So whenever it's thrown his way, I don't know the last time I've seen him actually drop the ball on a wide
Well, his
open
rookie
pass.
season.
Yeah.
Because he's just such a reliable wide receiver, and I think that's what makes him so great. But that's just besides the point.
You got to look at what it does long term too for the Steelers. They need a home field advantage real bad for this play, especially with the Chiefs. They can't go. It's going to be tough going into Arrowhead. It's going to be tough going into Gillette. So it really hurts them going forward.
Yeah,
Sure.
it hurts them too. And now you think of it, they played 2 Sunday night primetime games in Heinz Field, and they lost 2 of them. And that is so rare. We saw that stat how good Big Ben is at home in primetime at Heinz Field. So it's making me a little bit nervous. I still have faith. Maybe this is the year that we really just count the Steelers out and they actually prove us wrong for once instead of. I don't know, man. They just let me down so much.
Right from the start of the year, it just seemed like something wasn't right.
Wasn't right.
I don't like the Bell situation. That's just an overblown thing. That shouldn't be the biggest. That shouldn't be the biggest issue. But I think that Tomlin now he has to be on the hot seat because I mean, he should have been fired a couple years ago. But I think the main issue is just the coaching right now. It's not necessarily the players, but it's mostly the coaching.
All right, well, hopefully the Steelers can just figure something out. But anyways, Green Bay, they're going to have to figure out who's their new head coach is going to be after they pull the trigger and firing Mike McCarthy. As the Packers' 4-7 run record is equal to that of perennial losers in Cleveland, does this show an imbalance of power with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, or is it time for Mike McCarthy to go?
You know what? I'd rather watch just a 10-hour-long video edit of those leaked pictures of Brett Favre from 2012 than watch Aaron Rodgers take the field on Lambeau Field every Sunday because, man, do I just not like watching Aaron Rodgers play. Everyone says he's an electric player and all this stuff. He's got as many wins right now as Baker Mayfield. I'd rather see Baker Mayfield. That's what a heck of a story Baker Mayfield is. Well, look at Aaron Rodgers. You got everything given to him. Everyone just pours everything on him. Oh, Aaron Rodgers, you can have all this. And then when he messes up, it's everyone around him's fault. And I don't want to really get into Aaron Rodgers' issues right now, so I'm just going to pass the torch right now. And if someone says something to like Aaron Rodgers.
Rodgers is a crybaby.
He is.
I don't like him. If anything goes wrong with him, he just complains about it. I don't really like it. He granted, he is only using with what he's given. Randall Cobb's been out for the year. He really doesn't have much offensively. Devontae Adams has finally stepped up. He doesn't have a running game to fall back on if he's tired. So Rodgers has a lot of work cut out for him. But McCarthy, it was time for him to go. You have a nice team. You can't go 4-7 on the year. He's been there way too long. It was finally his end of the road.
I think Green Bay just needs to do a complete Keenan Deterton, Black Ops Zombies fire sale. Just sell the entire team. Literally get rid of everyone. Get rid of Rodgers. Just start fresh. They've been good for a long time. It's been a great run. Mark Murphy, if you're smart, just get rid of the entire organization, man.
Like the Raiders did.
Yep.
I'd do that too.
I don't think you get rid of the entire organization, but I really don't believe that it was necessarily too early to get rid of Mike McCarthy. I think this is a good time to get rid of him, just because the Green Bay Packers are in a bit of a slump, and the only good player, like you said, is Aaron Rodgers, and I think it's just his time to go. And I think this is going to be a string of just head coaches being fired right now because now you got Mike McCarthy fired, and I'm expecting at least 3-4 coaches fired by the end of the year.
Here's what I'm going to say about 2 things. One, if the Steelers, and I'm going to cross him the last question too. If the Steelers get rid of Tomlin, I made a prediction yesterday on Sports Talk Live. Mike McCarthy's going to the Steelers as the head coach. I'm saying that right now. It's a bold prediction, but deal with it.
Kid. He's a hometown guy.
Exactly. And number 2, I would trade Aaron Rodgers for either picks or potential prospects or even someone good.
They're not going to trade him. He's the face of the franchise, and he's just going to be one of those players. He's a one-team player.
Okay, well, everyone thought that the Raiders wouldn't trade Khalil Mack, but they did. Doesn't matter. They'll do whatever they want. They're the ones who are making the money.
Personally, if I'm the general manager of the Green Bay Packers, I would also trade Aaron Rodgers just because he's getting up there in age. Although he's the most talented quarterback in the league, personally, in my opinion. He's 35 years old. He's getting old.
He's a geezer.
And really, he's not going to be here that much longer. Why not sell him for a couple first-rounders?
You know what?
Sell him to Jacksonville. Jacksonville will probably be probably be dominant, but I mean,
I'm sure they defense.
Yeah, I'm sure they pay
a loads up on defense.
I'm sure they pay a good price for him.
Yeah, I agree. The best part I think about Mike McCarthy is when he's coaching, he can both see the defensive side of the ball at practice and the offensive side of the ball. So he's just a completely versatile coach because he's always multitasking because you don't even know, like, you know what I'm saying? He's looking one side of the ball, he's looking at the other. He's got a bunch of different angles that none of these other coaches in the NFL have. So I don't know. I don't think he produced enough wins in Green Bay, but I do think that is if he goes somewhere else, I think that he'll work really well with the team he goes to because Aaron Rodgers is so hard to work with. He is such a it's obviously why he has a different girlfriend every season too, if you look at it like that, because he really does. He's coming in with a different celebrity girlfriend every season. What's the deal with that? I mean,
he's an emotional little softy.
He is. The players can't work with him. His coach can't work with him. His girlfriends can't work with him. The only dude that works with him is a discount double-check agent. But that's the only thing that's working with him is Allstate.
State Farm one
too. State Farm, yeah.
I'm honestly personally surprised they cut Mike McCarthy this early in the season. I thought they were going to let it play out just because obviously they're not going to make the playoffs. I thought they were going to have enough respect to him since he brought him a Super Bowl, but they didn't. So it was time to cut to us.
I think if you're Green Bay, though, you need an offensive guy just because you do have Aaron Rodgers right now. So you need someone that's offensive-minded to come in and kind of boost that offense.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, as someone who has Aaron Rodgers on their fantasy team, as long as you throw in touchdowns, I'm not going to complain about it. Anyways, the Seattle Seahawks find themselves right back in the midst of the playoff race after a dominating defeat of San Francisco. Can the Seahawks prove those who called them washed up wrong and earn a spot in the postseason?
I called the Seattle Seahawks washed up in the beginning of the season, and I am proven wrong, and I quite like it. I like Russell Wilson. I like Pete Carroll, except when he decided to pass the ball in the Super Bowl, it broke every American's heart.
Against the Pats.
Yeah, against the Pats. That was devastating. But I think that Pete Carroll does a fantastic job coaching with what he has because that team looked dismantled. That defense looked terrible. I mean, imagine if they had Earl Thomas back right now.
Right.
I mean, he got hurt. He flipped the bird to the whole sidelines, disrespecting that whole team. That might have even been the fire behind that team, the team's success. They really started to rally around it. They completely changed the game plan. They went from like being the least efficient run team last year to the most run-heavy team in the NFL this year. I really like that. I mean, they don't have a good talent in running back, but I really think that the RPO with Russell Wilson, since he's such a good dual threat quarterback that he can run on the ground, in the air. He's making Tyler Lockett look like Jerry Rice out there. So I really give some of it to Pete Carroll, and the defensive side of the ball's doing all right, but that whole team's Russell Wilson's just carries Seattle on his back.
Well, I just remember that over the offseason, like everyone was talking, Pete Carroll needs to go because he's trading the Legion of Boom away, trading away all his players. But in reality, look at it this way. He completely flipped around the team, like you said, the best rushing team in the league right now. They were a pass-heavy offense last year and in the past, and now they lost the entire Legion of Boom on defense. They've lost all kinds of players, pass rushers everywhere, and they're still holding up. They're still playing like they've been playing for during their dynasty a couple years ago. So, yeah, good for Seattle.
I'll give Russell Wilson a lot of credit. He's done so much with that team, especially with all the scrutiny they've been going under. And being in the season right now at 7-5, you got to give credit to him. But personally, as for them going to the playoffs, I really don't care because if they do, they're going to lose in the first round. So as for me, they'll make the first round, but they'll be knocked out after that.
I think the big thing for Seattle is that they didn't have pressure going into the season. You saw in previous years that they had a lot of pressure for them to go deep into the playoffs. And I think since they don't have all that stress, I think that's really been helping out that team all together. And Pete Carroll is just a fantastic coach. He's shown it throughout his entire career, even in college. Except for those last couple of years at USC, but we won't get into that. We don't talk about that. But just overall, Russell Wilson showing once again why he is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And I just think that Seattle is a fantastic team. Now, no matter who you put on that team, as long as Russell Wilson is there, I think they succeed.
Yeah, I agree, and it's going to be tough, like you said, to even win a playoff game because if they're not there at home in Seattle with the 12th man, it's going to be tough. That adds a whole other element to Seattle. You saw so many miracle games happen in Seattle in the playoffs, especially the NFC Championship against Green Bay, against Aaron Rodgers all those years back. Probably one of my favorite football games I've ever watched when they kicked the onside kick and whoever that schmuck jabroni was bounced right off his head and Russell Wilson on to Jermaine Kearse. Yeah, that was awesome. But I really like Seattle. I really like where they're going with this. I think they can keep it up. They get a good running back. I think they might be deadly again next year, too.
All right, sounds good. But anyways, okay, so real quick, which team, if any, who's currently in the playoffs is going to miss out and who's going to replace them?
Okay, after you.
Pittsburgh Steelers, they're missing out on the playoffs. With the way they've been playing, I expect them to not only lose to the Raiders, they're also going up against Drew Brees and the Saints, and then the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, they may be missing Andy Dalton, but the way they've been playing, the way their coaching has been going, the Steelers are missing out on postseason 2K18.
Wow, that is a hot take. But I've also got my own take, and I think the Minnesota Vikings are going to miss the playoffs this year. Not because I think they're bad. I think their defense is absolutely loaded and stacked. I think their offense is they're working efficiently, maybe not against a not-so-hot defense with New England, but that's just one game. I think that it's the difficulty of their schedule that they have coming up the rest of the season. They play Seattle, they play Chicago again, I believe.
Yeah, they play Seattle, Miami, the Lions, and the Bears. So only one team below 500 to finish the year.
Exactly. So they got a tough schedule ahead of them. I think that I had a super hot fire take on the radio yesterday because I spit that, and it was that I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to rise from the dead and make the playoffs this year, clinching the final wild spot in the NFC.
I agree with Minnesota not making the playoffs, but I have the Carolina Panthers entering the playoffs just because of their strength of schedule. They have the Browns this week. They play the Saints, the Falcons, and then the Saints last week. I expect the Saints to rest their starters that last week, and I think that final week is when they get into the playoffs.
I like it.
Nice. Yeah, I like that too. I like Carolina. They're a very good underdog story team. Cam Newton maybe can come up here and upset some people. I'm not really sure if any team really going to get knocked out right now. I think it's almost set. I mean, if a team does go down, and it's going to be
It's
Philadelphia,
either the Steelers or it's going to be someone in the NFC East. I think
East,
is that.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty much a three-way tie for first. Granted, the Redskins did lose on Monday to the Eagles, which I hate because I predicted the Redskins would come on top. But it's still a tight race. The Cowboys had the lead. Eagles look to take the second wild card spot if they can't take first. Personally, I think the Vikings are going to make the playoffs. I'm going to disagree with you both. I like what you're saying, but I have strong faith in Kirk Cousins and Adam Thielen, dynamic duo on offense. And as you said, their defense is spectacular, so I'm going to say the Vikings make the playoffs.
See, the problem I have with the Eagles is that I just don't like where their offense has gone all year long. It's been up and down every single game, and Carson Wentz is either playing fantastic or just playing like crap. So I can't trust that Eagles team to get them to the playoffs.
I don't even know what that's about. You know, Steve knows, especially I was on a big Philadelphia hater all last season. Finally, they won the Super Bowl. I came out here. I squashed the beef with every other old senior here on the Big Hit. I know they're watching, and I maybe ate my words, and now they suck again. So I want to go back to just trashing on Philly so hard that I can't even sleep at night.
I think it's the Carson Wentz torn ACL personally because you saw ever since he tore his ACL, it hasn't been. He just hasn't been the same.
And he got engaged too. So again, another reason why that's going down. You got bad stuff going on back at home. You got a bad knee. He's all messed up because Nick Foles took his team and won the Super Bowl. Maybe Carson Wentz really just is a complete head case and he just can't handle it.
I liked your hot take, Jake, about the only loss this offseason was offensive coordinator Frank Reich too. So that could have had a lot to do with their success last year.
That's all we have for NFL. Get ready for some NCAA football.
Welcome back to the Big Hit. Certainly glad you could join us today. First of all, I want to thank you for inviting us back into your homes for the NCAA football segment. I'm joined by Michael Surma, Hunter Mitchell, Garrett Clark, and Jake Spagnon. And guys, we have a lot of analysis going forward. We got the college football playoff set, and we got bowl games to cover. So let's not waste any more time and let's get right up to it. The college football playoff is set as Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Oklahoma are your top four. Before we break down the games, did the committee get it right, or should another team have taken one of these spots?
I think the committee did get it right. Here's why. Oklahoma, one-loss Big 12 champion. They have big wins versus West Virginia and a big bounce back versus Texas in the Big 12 championship game. And I do believe Georgia is the better team of Oklahoma, but the thing is they lost in the SEC championship game, and conference championships, they should matter, I believe.
I actually agree with that. They should matter. I feel like Georgia could have really taken number 4 if they depended on that. But anyone else?
No, I think for once I actually full on agree with Surma, especially because you mentioned how they did lose the. Oh my God.
I feel like we all did.
Yeah. Especially that first loss to Texas that you mentioned. It was only by a field goal, so it was a very close game. If that had been like a blowout, then I would have been like, no, definitely Georgia has to be the 4th seed over that. But if it wasn't for that loss in the championship game, I'd say Georgia would be the shoe-in. But I don't think the rest of them. They did good, but I don't think they were just there to be in the top 4.
I think the committee definitely reinstated their point that conference championships are more important, because you look at it, they had a very tough decision this year to go with a team that I think everybody in the country knew was better than Oklahoma in Georgia, or a team in Oklahoma that had competed the entire season and did what they needed to do to get in. So I think that they got it right. I think that there's no way they could have kept Oklahoma out. But I also think that Georgia would have made a better game in there.
I gotta agree with you guys. There's nothing wrong that I could see. Just the only thing, maybe expanding the playoffs. That's the only thing I could see.
Oh, that's a hot topic.
Well, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, or on Monday's edition of Sports Talk Live, WIP-FM, tune in, about that maybe they should make it more of a March Madness setting, maybe expanding it a little bit more and kind of making it more tournament style rather than just a committee picking 4 teams. I would agree with that. You guys?
My problem right now is the playoff is based on bowl games. So you have a national champion and they win 2 bowls. Something about that, it just doesn't settle with me. It should be regular playoffs, 8 teams play it out to the battle, and you don't get an extra participation trophy for trying to get to the national championship game just because, you were in the Final Four, and made it to the national title game, so you get a trophy.
Yeah, that's a pretty strong. But we'll move on with that because you mentioned it's pretty much based on all bowl games. Alabama, number 1 ranked and continuously ranked. Alabama will look for yet another national championship victory, but they must get through the tough Kyler Murray and the high-powered Oklahoma offense to do so. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
That's going to be close. It's definitely going to be a close game because they pretty much, Alabama, they kind of just breezed through this season. I mean, you look at them, most of them, they scored by like more than 20 points, except for when they just played Georgia, and they only won that by a touchdown. But that was their highest seed play when they did go for it. So I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think they've faced an offense like Oklahoma. I agree with what Hunter said in the last question, that if Georgia had been in, I think it would have been a lot more of an interesting game. But I think Kyler Murray is going to win the Heisman, so I think that's just going to help amp things up and be like, can the Heisman winner really beat Alabama?
I disagree with Spags. I don't think it's going to be a very close ending to the game. I think Oklahoma is going to hang in there for the first half, but I think coming out of the locker room, Nick Saban's going to have his team adjusted to stopping Kyler Murray, and I feel that because of the level of coaching that Alabama has, they'll be able to shut down Oklahoma's offense in the second half and win by at least 2 scores.
I hate to say this as full LSU blood fan, but Alabama's going to tear it up in the 4th quarter and destroy Murray because Oklahoma doesn't have a defense that is championship caliber by any means, or any team in the Big 12 for that matter, because they're just lousy and like the new NFL is. You can't sack a quarterback or else it's a penalty.
It might be a little closer because teams that have had high-power offenses. For example, Oregon was a high-power offense a few years ago when they had Mariota. They still made it to the national championship, and Alabama still had top offense and defense at that time.
Alabama was more of a 4th quarter team if you look at it, and like Surma said, I mean, hey, we're all agreeing with him today. That's really nice. Alabama has that extra factor in them to come back in the 4th quarter, whether they're down or up already. Tua, definitely a elite player that could really impact the game. I don't know. I agree. I think they could come back late in the game.
No, for sure. They definitely can. I still take Alabama to do it, but I think that the way the playoff is, I think Oklahoma is going to make it an interesting game. I don't think they win, but I think it'll be close.
Absolutely. But hey, that winner of the game will take on Clemson and Notre Dame in the national championship. Two unbeatens who may arguably not be as strong as the number 1 and 4 seeds. Who wins this matchup, and subsequently who will face the winner of the Alabama-Oklahoma game in the national title game?
Well, this Notre Dame team is better than the undefeated Manti Te'o team in 2012 that just got manhandled by Alabama in the BCS title game, which was horrible. But Clemson has a dominant defensive line, and I just see them ripping through the offensive line and sacking Ian Book like they never had before. And they're going to smash Notre Dame, and it will be unexpected, just like the Fiesta Bowl a few years back, where they shut out Ohio State, and no one expected them to shut out Ohio State. Everyone expected that to be a close game. This is going to be a runaway for Clemson in the second half. I have the Tigers all the way.
I'm going to have to agree with you. I think they have the better quarterback. They have a better committee of running backs, especially in yardage and touchdowns. Receivers, fairly even, I'm not too really sure. But I think Clemson overall, especially when you mention the defensive line, I don't think it's going to be that close of a game. I think the first game between Bama and Oklahoma definitely be the better of the two. But I'm taking Clemson all the way with this. I think it's going to be them and Bama going at it again.
I think that Notre Dame has a lot better of a shot than most people are giving them. I think this is going to be a very close game down to the wire just because of the way that Notre Dame plays. And people look at their schedule and say, well, they didn't score a bunch of points, they didn't blow any teams out, but that's their style of play. They're very slow paced, they're very methodical and consistent, and they put up the points they need to put up, and they keep games close. So I think it's going to be a very close game, but I agree with you guys. I do think Clemson is going to come out on top.
Same thing. I would say Clemson's going to come out on top. I feel like this year seems to be, they're going to be closer games, to be honest. Just because, but all 4 teams seem to be, they have high power offenses, they have somewhat decent defenses for the most part, so they're not going to have a terrible time against each other.
It's definitely going to be competitive. But alongside the national championship game and the 2 bowls that determine it, we also have the New Year's 6 bowls that are set with the matchups that follow. And these are pretty tough, guys. In the Sugar Bowl, Georgia versus Texas. The Rose Bowl, Ohio State versus Michigan, or Washington, that is. The Fiesta Bowl, LSU versus UCF, the reigning defending champions, that is. The Peach Bowl, and the Peach Bowl, Florida versus Michigan. Who are your picks to take these games?
I'm going to start off with the Fiesta Bowl surprise, but LSU is going to come out and win the game. It won't be a blowout. UCF will put in a good effort, but I believe Devin White and Greedy Williams will stay for this game and will actually put out a really huge effort, get at least 1 turnover against UCF, and LSU will clock it out, and I say they win 24-13 at the end of things, because LSU's defense is always underrated. You can say whatever, they gave up 29 points to Alabama, but UCF is a group of 5 team, not a power 5 team. Let's remember that, folks.
I want to disagree with you. I think UCF is going to come out with an upset in this game. I think they are a very underrated team. They have been for the last 2 years. And I feel that Greedy Williams, I don't think that he's going to play in this game. I think he's going to come out in the next couple weeks and he's going to say that he's not playing, he's getting ready for the draft. And I think that UCF's going to take advantage of that. And LSU doesn't have a very good passing attack. And I think they're also going to take advantage of that, and they're going to shut down LSU's running game, and they're going to win a close game.
I'm going to have to agree with that. I mean, I'm not saying LSU is a bad team, but I think UCF, I mean, they've been undefeated for, 2 years now? They've checked a lot of the boxes they need, and if they win this game, which I'm taking them to win, it's just going to prove that they really should have been closer, maybe should have been where Georgia is right now. Now, I wouldn't say they're better than Georgia. I wouldn't go that far, but going this, if they beat LSU or at least are competitive, I think they're definitely going to have a lot more ranked teams in their schedule next year. So that way they have a fair chance into getting to the college football playoff. But I'll take UCF over LSU. I'm going to take Ohio State over Washington. I think Georgia and Texas could be a very close game. I still think Georgia wins out. But then yeah, those were my picks. Was that all the games, or was there one more?
Florida, Michigan.
Florida, Michigan. I'm not particularly interested in that game.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I'll be on.
It'll probably be like Michigan wins.
I'll be on.
probably.
Yeah, it would be one of those. I'm taking Michigan just because they're the higher seed in that case. But so.
To back you up on the UCF thing, they have Stanford next year and they have Pitt next year again. And I know Pitt is not ranked or anything, but they still won the ACC Coastal, so that kind of still means something.
But they were ranked.
I think this is the first time anyone on this show has defended the Pitt Panthers other than me. And I must say, Surma, I thank you for that. Moving on, speaking of Pitt, which bowl matchup outside the New Year's Six is most intriguing to you? You already know my vote. It's the Hyundai Sun Bowl, Stanford-Pitt. I have Pitt winning out, maybe by 3. Who knows?
I think my most intriguing game is definitely the Syracuse game, where they're playing a West Virginia team. Both teams are very high-powered offenses with low defensive efforts. I think the offense that's more efficient is going to win this game. And so if the team doesn't turn the ball over, I don't think the other defense is going to stop either of these offenses. Will Greer is one of the best in the country. He's going to be a top 5 pick. And I think because of that, West Virginia is going to come out on top against Syracuse. But I think it's going to be a very good game. And aside from that, I don't see many games that are going to be as good as that.
Well, there's a lot of underrated games here. Some of them are crapshoots like usual, but anyway, we got Hyundai Sun Bowl, Pitt Stanford. But for me, the Holiday Bowl, Utah versus Northwestern, will be a really classic, good old defensive showdown. It will. Who knows what will happen there? Great runners on both sides of the ball, and a really good defense. So we'll see on that one. But I think that will be like 17-10. But another great one, the Cheez-It Bowl, TCU versus Cal, where the winner of this game will get a box of Cheez-Its as a trophy over in Arizona. I'm telling you, dig down on those Cheez-Its, Cal, because you're going to beat TCU. So get ready to gain some pounds on those Cheez-Its, boys, because you're winning the Cheez-It Bowl.
Now you make me hungry, Sherma.
Yeah, I'm hungry too. I mean, I guess if I have to pick 3 of them, I agree with, I'm going to stay in the state. I'm going to watch the Pitt versus Stanford, and I'm going to watch Penn State versus Kentucky. I think the Pitt Stanford game is going to be more competitive. I really like that. And how you mentioned, even though Pitt isn't currently ranked right now, they were ranked for a little bit.
That was kiss of death that was getting ranked.
Yeah,
so
it
that
was.
was whenever they started going on their decline.
That definitely was. But yeah, I'd say those 2, and then outside of that, I guess Michigan State versus Oregon, if I just had to pick another third. Most of these games I don't think really matter, a lot of them.
If they're not the championship game, they don't matter.
Yeah. But if I just had to pick a big name team as a third outside of Penn State and Pitt, I'll just take Michigan State and Oregon. That shouldn't be a too terrible game. I think it'll be at least decent.
All right.
I have to pick like Penn State versus Kentucky because both of them are ranked. And another game would be like Hawaii versus Louisiana Tech. I know Hawaii always has
The Hawaii
fun.
Bowl. Wow.
Yeah, they're always interesting. A lot of people talk about them for some reason.
Well, if we're going with bowls that no one watches, I'm going to go with the Gildan New Mexico Bowl. It's New Mexico Bowl.
Yeah.
North Texas versus Utah State. ESPN 2 p.m. December 15th. I'm just going to say that because that's
Are we going to pick UAB versus Northern Illinois?
That's not, I mean, but why not? We can get our hands on the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. North Carolina State versus Texas A&M. I mean, there you go. It's going to be great, right?
Well, how about this title for you? You got the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl, USF versus Marshall. I'm sure they'll be pumped up since they're both green teams win a lawnmower for their great efforts in the Mowers Gasparilla Bowl. And they'll go lawn mowing down their own football fields and have a great celebration because they're bad boys with their motors.
I mean, I'm just going to stick with my John Deere lawnmower, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we got a lot of nice bowls, better names rather than matchups in the bowls, but hey, that's going to be it for the NCAA football segment here. We hope that there's going to be a lot of great bowl action. Keep it here on The Big Hit for the next segment.
Welcome back to The Big Hit. I am Nick Daddy Dudowski, the raddest dad that's mad, alongside the hot take Jake, Taylor, and Mike
Don't let his mom make you pasta costa for NHL. Now, boys, I know you guys are both Pens fans, especially Mike, as we can see here. With repping the Chris Letang. Are you guys? I know Jim Rutherford's selling the team right now. Do you guys buy out on the Penguins? And if so, how can they turn their struggles around?
You know what? It's gonna be pretty hard for the Penguins to turn their struggles around. For the sense of they made a bunch of key moves a few years back that obviously was for the success then, not really setting up the success now, about 4 years later, 3-4 years later. Yeah. Although they can still be good because they still have the core players that really kind of helped win the cup with them, like Letang. I heard you sleep in that jersey, by the way. You love it.
The only way I can sleep.
The only way you can sleep in that jersey.
Some people sleep with socks. I sleep with jerseys on.
Letang, Crosby, Malkin, Gensel, Hornquist, Rust, Murray. We have players like that are the core of the team. However, a bunch of players left. I mean, we got rid of Hagelin this year. Benino's gone. You have like Ben Lovejoy's gone. He was gone before. He didn't win back-to-back, but still was a huge defensive key. That would have been so much easier to win. Trevor Daley's gone. Ron Hainsey was a decent pick. He's gone. Sprong just left. I mean, we have a ton of players that were once great that are not on the team right now. Young players. Tom Kuhnackel, a great penalty killer. One of the best penalty killers. He was the best penalty killer when the Penguins had him on the team. A very underrated player. I don't know why they just didn't pay him. He came out and said that he would do whatever it takes to stay in Pittsburgh, but I guess they didn't want to give him the money. They didn't think he was that good, but they're definitely regretting that now because their PK is not as good as it can be, and I really think Tom Kuhnackel was a huge part of that. Connor Sherry left. All these players left, and they're trying to bring in these new players with Brassard. They're trying to bring in Tanner Pearson, but they just don't fit the mold yet. I really think maybe they're going to have to start practicing more, playing with the team, getting better chemistry. But the chemistry's bad. Jim Rutherford, Mike Sullivan, they're not really getting along. Phil Kessel, Mike Sullivan, they're not getting along. Those are people and players, GMs, coaches, and the goal scorer that you have to have team chemistry to be successful.
I played NHL 18.
You did?
Terrible at it because you need chemistry, and I don't have any of that. And I'm a big economics guy. I took half a class 2 years ago, dropped it, didn't do too well. But I learned one thing, and you gotta buy low and you gotta sell high. So now we're sitting really low. Team is trash. You know, elephant in the room. Team is trash. That's how I'm gonna say it. We got the core, like you said, but we got a lot of pieces, and I think they're all gonna come together later on. Sullivan knows how to do that. He knows how to work the team and get them pushing, and he was able to figure out the whole speed dynamic thing that the league is basically all about now. I think a big piece. I think bringing in Tanner Pearson, like you said, and I think having Hornquist. Big net presence in front of the net. They got a couple big defensemen. Alexiak had Ryan Reeves, but you got that size, and you still incorporate the speed in there. And as long as you got guys in front of the net doing their thing, banging things up, pucks in front of the net, not up in here. So
I agree.
I like it, dude. I think we're in a good spot. Panic button for me is I'm thinking about it. It's in the drawer.
It's in the drawer.
It's in the back of my mind. It's not out yet. I'm definitely not pressing it.
No.
But it's in the back of my mind. I'm not gonna lie, it's in the back of my mind.
I agree. I think that defensive depth is the biggest key for the Penguins right now. They don't really have too much depth on defensively. I think I was a big Mata supporter back in the past, but he's really going downhill. Sullivan doesn't like him. He doesn't trust him. Schultz is out. He's coming back way late in the season, maybe even too late if he does come back. Like I said again, we missed all those players. Letang's really so inconsistent. If not the most consistent player on the Penguins. The team strictly runs through Sidney Crosby. As you can see, when Sidney Crosby's in the lineup, they're scoring goals, they're playing well.
Stick was good.
Yeah, the stick's just, he's got that
huge stick.
He's got the big stick that can get the stuff done with it. If you turn
he just
Culture Cast, you know if you want to tune in the Culture Cast, you know how big Sidney Crosby's
That's not as a Dano Chara stick, but he knows how to work it.
Yeah,
No. Breaking news, boys. Seattle has been granted the 32nd franchise in the NHL right now. They will start play in 2021. What are your first reactions? Do you guys think this is going to alter the future of the NHL?
All right, here's my first reaction. Seattle, whoever's about to coach, whoever's looking, you see this jersey right here, draft me. I've been tearing it up on the asphalt since way back in 14. You know me. I've been doing this ball hockey stuff all around the world. Who cares? You know what? Give me bus boy, water boy. I'll be squirting the water in whoever's mouth. You just give it to me. I'm pretty good at that, so don't get me wrong. I did it for this team too. So you see the jersey, you see me repping it. Please draft me. That's my first reaction when you tell me that Seattle just got a new NHL team. I know they're watching. I know Gary Bettman's watching this. He's like itching for me.
Joe Quenneville, maybe he's watching.
Maybe he's watching
maybe
too.
the new head coach. You heard it here first. I mean, we're spitting out breaking news. Joel Quenneville, he's getting out there.
I'm about to get drafted, dude. I'm on peak, like you said.
You're looking at the top defenseman. You're looking
27 years of age.
Yeah, Yeah, 27. That's when you hit your peak. So you got a while.
7 more years.
You can hang around here for a little bit, pump out a couple more seasons of shows, and then kill it and win the Hart Trophy in the NHL. So you heard it here first. Jake's winning the Hart. Quenneville's going to the NHL. I love it. I think they're going to be the Krakens. You also heard that here first. Kraken would be, imagine that jersey, dude. Just putting a big old Kraken on the side of their arm, dude.
Yeah.
That would look sick. Sea cows, I heard. Sea
A bunch of
cougars.
tentacles. I know Josh Nish would like that. But
Just killing it over there in Seattle. Bettman finally doing something for the league.
he's finally doing something for the
'cause
league.
He pulls out from the Olympics, and he says he wants to expand it. But this one's for the brand. So
It's for the brand.
I guess we're all. Hey, let's
That's
go.
what's
Bettman.
like. Nothing to
We're
it but to
team
do
Bet-
it, Gary Bettman. When Vegas came into the league, obviously you saw the immense success they have, which some people liked the way they did it, some people didn't because they're so set up for success within the next 5 years because they have a plethora of great draft picks that just really didn't make any sense to me because obviously their team was set up decent enough for them to go to the freaking Stanley Cup Finals last year, which I still don't believe they were deserving of it, but still, they still made it. That was still unbelievable. You saw how Las Vegas got so into it. It was so good for the NHL.
Yeah.
It was huge. And I really think a town like Seattle, who's lost a basketball team, who's only has Russell Wilson to go off of right now. And the last time Russell Wilson was ever and Pete Carroll were ever successful, he passed an interception in the end zone. So that's the last time they ever saw a championship caliber team.
People don't forget.
And like Seattle's not going to do it again. I really think this is good for the whole city to gather around NHL, put hockey out all over the country, keep it in America, put it in Canada. But
yeah, Team for America.
Team for America.
Point for America in Seattle. I think they got a really good shot because they lowered the restrictions and everything. They can't protect as many players. You got all this young talent coming up in the league. These guys I never heard of.
All the young talent.
And we're the NHL experts here in Indiana.
We are
the top two got 1A, 1B.
Yeah.
I'm the A.
Not soft, but yeah.
But the Grizzle vet, that's right. Such a great right here. But you would think.
Per Indiana Gazette.
And it wasn't lucky at all. I mean, you play 82 games, go to the Stanley Cup. I mean, Golden Knights did it. Why can't Seattle do it?
Yeah, why can't Seattle?
It's their time.
Well,
it's finally their time.
Regarding the future of the NHL, I heard there's going to be some division realignment with this new franchise in Seattle, but good thing you couldn't see the realignment in my pants a couple seconds ago. Now, although it is still kind of early in the season, the boys are being separated from the men.
That's right.
Teams like in the East, we've got Tampa Bay, Toronto, Buffalo. In the West, we've got Nashville, Colorado, Winnipeg.
Wow, hockey guy.
What are the fates of these playoff contenders going forward?
You know what? They all make the playoffs. Even Buffalo, I have faith that Buffalo's going to make the playoffs. If any team's going to fall off, especially from the Eastern Conference, it's going to be Buffalo. But as for which teams are going to be able to make the best playoff push from those teams you mentioned, I'm going to say Toronto in the East and Nashville still in the West. Nashville, I'm saying, because they're just so deep. They're still winning right now. They're still the best team in the NHL, and they have key injuries. Arvidsson's hurt. Forsberg's hurt. Subban's hurt.
They didn't have Pekka Rinne in the beginning.
What?
Pekka Rinne got hurt in the beginning, and they're still killing it.
Yeah, and UC Saros.
Right, that's right. That's right.
Saros came in, and he's a great backup goalie. And we've seen it so many years. You got to have multiple. It's all about goaltending.
Next man up. That's
Next
right.
man up, and you have Saros coming in here, stepping up. Hell, you might as well bench Pekka Rinne because you see what he does in the playoffs, and you put Saros in there. But still, that depth in the defense in Nashville, that just really gets my jeans itching because it's not fair. You have PK Subban, Elcom Ellis, Roman Josi, one of the best captains, in my opinion, in the NHL, behind Sidney Crosby, but one of the best captains in the NHL, Roman Josi. I really think he does a fantastic job being able to get all that talent together, rally it. It's the hardest place to play in is Nashville. Player voted pool. That's the hardest arena to play in. As for Toronto, I don't think Toronto's as skilled from top to bottom as Tampa Bay is. But they don't have as much playoff experience as Tampa Bay. But here's why: Tampa Bay makes it to the final or the conference final every single year, and they continue to choke and choke and choke. It's because John Cooper is a jabroni. So how about this, John Cooper? You go ahead, you get this. You go ahead, pull out Nikita Kucherov's stick. You shine that sun gun up sideways, and you stick it straight up your candy butt. You can't get a Stanley Cup win at all. And Mike Babcock can't. I'm talking so fast, I don't even know what I'm saying right now. I'm so out of it. You know it's finals. I'm sorry. I apologize, everyone. I'm not perfect. But Mike Babcock can definitely coach the Toronto Maple Leafs and get that young talent with Tavares leading the team now in Marlowe. They got the Grizzled Vets on the team.
Got the Grizzle vet right here, baby.
Grizzle vet right there. Grizzle vet, Marlowe, Tavares, taking up Nylander, Matthews, Marner, Hyman. They're taking up all the way.
I'm sitting high on them too. I'm sitting high on Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Said it here before. I'll say it again. Go with your gut. Big go with your gut kind of guy.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay's been there, done that. You didn't mention Boston.
No, I didn't mention Boston.
And Boston, I hate to say it, but they're city champions. Steelers ain't looking too good. Penguins ain't looking too good. Boston, I don't know what it is. They just know how to do it. I don't know if it's how they cheat or how they play, how they practice. But they just know what they're doing up there. So at Boston, I really think is going to make a push with that top line with Pasta and Bergeron. The rat-looking dude, whoever his name is, we won't mention him because we don't like him.
Yeah, we don't talk about him.
Tuukka Rask pulling it together in net. Predators, kind of the same concept. They got younger guys, but when they made that cup run, but they're getting a little older. An older Boston Bruin, maybe, franchise. A bunch of big talent, bunch of big guys, size, speed, and all that. Jets. You didn't talk about the Jets.
I didn't talk about the Jets. I thought you wanted to talk about the Jets.
Well, I'll talk about the Jets, but you were sitting pretty high on the Jets. The Jets are flying real high right now. And they've got Patrick Laine, stud.
Tearing it up.
Dude's a monster. Just the whole team, top to bottom, I think, is you really need that center position. And the center position is really good for them.
So deep. Real deep.
So deep with the center. And so deep with the defense. So that's why I got to go with my gut.
They got good D up in Winnipeg. I do agree with that. I think that Connor Hellebuck. Connor Hellebuck in net. I don't think he can do what he did last year. Again, another place with such key home ice advantage, where if they get home ice in the playoffs, like you see, they beat Nashville last year in the playoffs. So you have teams like this can come up, get real hot, play well. I think they're Mark Scheifele, again, most underrated player, if not the most underrated player in the NHL right now. He really kind of leads that team. I know everyone says Blake Wheeler, but quite frankly, I really think
Mark Scheifele.
I think it's Scheifele. Blake Wheeler actually came out and made a statement. He said he knows Mark Scheifele is going to be the captain of that team one day. So whether it's tomorrow or whether it's 2 years from now, I don't care. Mark Scheifele runs that team. Patrick Laine, a great young talent, best leading the league in goals, might be taking the new Alex Ovechkin, best goal scorer in the NHL right now. 5 goals, 1 game. He's the most goals in 1 month of all time.
It's a lot of
November.
Goals. It's a lot of
this
goals,
past November, yeah.
That's right.
A lot of goals.
I'd also like to record a show while we're talking about this question. I called the Buffalo Sabres.
You did.
Doing very well going to the playoffs. So not to toot my own horn, but toot. There we go, boys.
And going back to the Jets, you mentioned everyone but Dustin Bufflin, their captain, but and he got knocked out cold a couple weeks ago when he played the Pens by Jamie Alexiak.
Yeah.
So someone's going to need to slap me silly and knock me out cold, because unfortunately this is our last show for a good 6 weeks. NHL is the scene is going to change within this next month and a half. I want you guys to take a big old look in your crystal ball. Think real hard. What do you guys see in the future?
That was big, dude.
For this NHL season.
You know what I see? When we come back, Mikko Rantanen is not going to be leading the league in points. However, he's not even going to be in the top 5. He's going to fall off because I think McKinnon really kind of keeps it going. I think McKinnon's going to keep that up. I don't think Rantanen's going to be number 1. I think he's going to fall off a little bit. Buffalo falls off. Sorry, not sorry. Calgary, Anaheim. Calgary's atop the division right now, which is just ludicrous.
Yeah,
so they're going to fall off. That flame's going to get lit out real quick. Anaheim, Dunzo. I really don't think they don't have what it takes. They never do have what it takes. That organization just really just gets me going. They might as well just do the flying V every single time they do the breakup, because it's the only chance they have of winning. San Jose and Vegas are going to move up. I hate to say it. I think Las Vegas is really going to start hitting get the momentum rolling. The same momentum they had last year. The chemistry is going to start meshing together. Pittsburgh's going to get better. The Islanders are going to fall off. And here's what's going to happen right now. I'm saying it right now. David Pastrnak of the Boston Bruins will be the leading point scorer in the next 6 weeks when we come back. He's just going to hit his stride, and no one's going to be able to stop him. And I'm going to say he's going to finish the year top 3 in points.
I agree with that.
Pastrnak. You agree with that?
I agree with that. Because I'm sitting high on Pasta, too. Love it. Terrible teeth. Don't have the greatest teeth.
He's not the greatest teeth.
But like his last name, Italian dude, Pasta. Really nice talent, young talent. Dude, said it before. I'm going to say it again.
You always say it before, and you always say it again. That's why I love you,
I'm going to keep saying it, because the first
right,
couple weeks,
it's gospel.
First couple weeks, we were sitting real high on the Penguins, and I can't take that away. I can't go away from my gut, if you hint where I'm getting at. So I got the Penguins maybe winning the Stanley Cup. Maybe pulling it together.
They might, but the Stanley Cup's in June, so
but
that's going to be a long time.
You heard it here first. The Penguins are going to win the Stanley Cup. Everything's going to solidify. I think that the Maple Leafs stay up there. I think Tampa Bay and all those top teams that have been there before, they're just going to stay up there. Flames, they're going to go out, like you said. Yeah. Ducks are going to get put out by the Flames. Sharks are going to go higher. I really like the Evander Kane trade. Said that before. A lot of size, a lot of speed there.
Yeah, they're paying all the money.
I think he's killing it. He had a really good postseason, too. I think one of the best in the league last year. Oilers, fading away.
Fading away, always.
I was never sitting high. I was never, not going to lie, dude, not a big Connor McDavid kind of guy.
He was a lot of talent, but he's the only guy on that team. You got to get out of Edmonton.
And Connor McDavid.
Wayne Gretzky, ever heard of him? I mean, he left Edmonton, so he's got to get out of there.
Dude, one time I was playing deck hockey up in Erie, and I was playing against Connor McDavid.
You probably made him look like a
He was doing this little charity thing and helping us play, and I made him ice the ball.
You're playing for USA.
Yeah,
He's
I
playing
made him
for
ice the
Otters.
ball. I made Connor McDavid ice the ball.
Yeah, yep.
This definitely helped my draft stock. Hot take, I get drafted by the time I get signed.
So that's what we got, boys.
Well,
boys,
come back.
thank you guys very much for your input. But as for the New Age Outlaws, we got the road dog Nick Dodowski, the bad guy Mike Costa, hot Jake Taylor. We've got 2 words for you if you're not done with that, and that is happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Hi, didn't see you there. But thank you for joining me. You know, the Christmas season is one for sharing some time with their family, sharing some laughs, and best of all, curling up by the fire with some hot cocoa and a nice book to read. I'm going to be diving into one of the best-known Christmas stories of all time, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, with a little bit of a kick that I'm sure you'll enjoy. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the IUP-TV studio not a creature was stirring, not even someone from Hawk Talk. The jerseys were hung by the chimney with care in hopes that St. Nicholas Dodowski soon would be there. Jake Taylor was nestled all snug in his bed, while visions of Sean McVay and the Rams O-line danced in his head. And Katie Dots on her camera and Mike Costa in his Pens cap had just settled their differences on the NHL rather than Costa earning a slap. When out of the lawn there arose such a clatter, Jeff Hart sprang from his bed to see what was the matter, breaking his ankle in the process. Away to the window he flew like Jimmy Butler, up and down the floor, unlike the aging Jay Cutler. The moon on the breast of the ice-covered PA roads gave a luster so bold that not even speed demon Charles Sandos could behold. When what to my wondering eyes did appear, but in a low Davis computer lab, oh that's right, Stephen Langdon Jr. practically lives here. Now a little old driver so lively and quick wouldn't give up the sleigh switcher. Oh yeah, it's Elliot Hicks. More rapid than Eagles, his filming crew they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by position name. Now Cam 1, Cam 2, Cam 3, and video. On prompter, on talent, on CG, and audio. To the top of Stouffer, to the top of Davis Hall. Now speed it up, speed it up, speed it up, Jake Spagnol. As words regarding the latest in all sports fly, when they meet with an obstacle, you'll hear, now here's a guy. So up to the rooftop the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of hot takes, and St. Nick Dodowski too. And then in a twinkling, I heard on the roof, we're talking from the heart, we don't need proof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, wouldn't you know it, Michael Surma driving like he was at the Roval going round and round. He was dressed in all fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with Philadelphia Eagles logos. That's comparable to soot. A bundle of graphics he had flung on his back, he saw Jake Slobodnik and uttered, unlike my cookies, that man's a snack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His content sheet had all kinds of questions, oh, how did they vary? His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and on the beard on his chin was as thick and rich as Sinaway Joe. The stump of a pipe he held with a tight cling, and the smoke it encircled his head like a championship ring. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a solo cup full of natty. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him, kinda like when I put a Bengals jersey on myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know that Garrett Clark's favorite NFL team's playoff hopes were quickly put to bed. He spoke not a word, but went straight to work and edited all the footage. That is, when Adobe Premiere decided to work. As Kaylee Wenderoth noticed him, she froze, and giving a wink and chuckle, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew as quick as Joshua Nistel. But I heard him exclaim as he drove out of sight, Merry Christmas to all, and to all, a good night. Keep it here on The Big Hit for more.
Welcome back to The Big Hit. My name's Elliot Hicks. I'm here today with Stephen Langdon Jr., and we'll break down the UEFA Champions League, as most of the last 16 is set as we head into the final match day on December 11th, I believe. Starting with Group B, Tottenham Hotspur from England and Inter Milan from Italy are even on points, with Spurs holding the advantage in away goals heading into their winner-take-all game. Who's got the advantage to earn the inside track to the last 16?
I'm going to say Inter Milan. So far, they have done a fantastic job in that group, probably the group of death, but the Spurs have to play Barcelona in the Camp Nou, and I think that's going to be the biggest problem for the Spurs. And they lost 4-2 in Wembley already, so already losing the home fixture. Plus, you got an Inter Milan team you got Icardi who's leading the team, and I think that he's going to propel them forward into the next round.
Definitely won't be easy for either team. Group C is still completely wide open, well, with the exception of Red Star, that's a little bit behind. Napoli holds a 1-point advantage over PSG as we speak, with Liverpool just 2 points behind Paris. PSG, all they need to do is take care of business against Red Star to advance, while the Napoli-Liverpool matchup could mean the difference between the last 16 and getting sent down to the Europa League. Who will advance in this group that we knew was stacked from the very start?
I actually am going to go with Napoli going over Liverpool. Liverpool is playing in a home game, but Liverpool, like I said, has an insane team. But I really think that Napoli is going to move all their defense back, probably playing a little bit of park the bus. But overall, I think Napoli so far has a 2 goal difference and already ahead of them in points. And I just don't think that Liverpool is going to be able to score enough goals to move them forward.
Bayern Munich and Real Madrid are two of various European powers that are struggling in their home leagues. Bayern's 9 points off the pace in the Bundesliga, and Real Madrid is 5 points out in the Liga. But after both teams earn solid wins in their group, will they still be favorites for the title of the Champions League as they have been in years past?
I think that Real Madrid is not a favorite this year. They lost, of course, Ronaldo over the summer, but just injuries have piled up. You've seen Marcelo, you've seen Bale still struggling with injuries. Benzema has not been the player that they've wanted him to be still. But I think that Real Madrid has just lost too many easy games. They've lost 3-1 to Sevilla, 1-0 to Alves, and then Levante 2-1. Just big losses in the league. I think that for Bayern, they're getting older, and I think that's the big reason why they're behind. Dortmund right now is on top of the table, but just overall, Bayern getting older. Like I said, Robin is just announced this week he's going to be leaving. Ribery is getting up in age as well. Neuer, since he's been piling up injuries over the last couple of years, hasn't been the best keeper in the world like many people thought. But also, you have Lewandowski, who wants out of Bayern.
Right.
He's
saying he's wanted out for quite a few years.
Yeah, so about 3 or 4 years now.
Transfer and waiting.
Yeah, but I think overall, I think Bayern has a better chance than Real Madrid, just because they have a lot more depth, in my opinion. But Real Madrid is just one of those teams that you can't just write off.
Which potential last 16 matchup would be the most intriguing, both on the pitch and in the stands at the fans?
Currently, Paris Saint-Germain sits second in the group, and I believe that Napoli is going to win, so they would be at the top. So I'm going to go with Paris Saint-Germain versus Manchester City, two of the best offensive powers in the world. And I think just overall, you have Neymar, you got Mbappe for Paris Saint-Germain, not to forget Cavani, who's been there for years, just scoring goals like it's nothing. But overall, just the attack that Manchester City has, you got Sané, you got Aguero, who's been playing on the bench as of recently. He's been dealing with a little bit of injuries throughout the season. But just overall, I think that would be a huge matchup for the round of 16, and that would really see who's the best from the best.
Yeah, I definitely can't think of any matchup that would be better than that. Which team has been the most surprising, and on the counter side, which has been the most disappointing in the group stage?
I think Ajax has really been the most surprising team this Champions League. They're sitting behind Bayern. They play them in the next game, but for Ajax to score 11 points in such a tough group, I think that's just incredible. You got Tadic, who transferred from Southampton, and he's really become a stud. And he's been the top goal scorer in the Champions League for him, but just I think they've been probably the most surprising team by far. For the most disappointing team, I have to go with Monaco. Monaco has struggled in the French Ligue 1, and they're led by Thierry Henry, who was coaching the Belgium national team this past summer. But just overall, they're in a relegation battle right now in France, which you look up and down the teams and you think, oh, they're a top 3 team no matter what. But I think because they sold players like Mbappe and Lamar over the last couple of years, I think that's really had them struggling because they're trying to bring in players, but they just can't really have a solid lineup. So as far as most disappointing, they're sitting at the bottom of their group.
Yeah. So moving on now a little bit about the Europa League. Teams like Arsenal, Chelsea, and AC Milan have advanced into the knockout stages of the Europa League, but with the potential of some very talented teams coming down from the Champions League. Will any of these 3 teams, or will anybody that was originally in the Europa League be able to win that title?
I don't know. I just have to go with Chelsea. Chelsea has just been a juggernaut all season long. They're sitting in third place right now in the Premier League, but Alonso has really staked his claim as the best wingback in the world by far. But then you got players like Conte just earning that new contract extension, and he's getting a big pay raise, and deservingly so, because he's probably the best center defensive midfielder probably in our lifetimes, and I think he's the best midfielder in the world right now. Just overall has been just fantastic since leaving Leicester City after winning that title. But overall, I think if Hazard can come out and continue his form of the early season, I think he should be good moving forward.
All right, so that's all we've got. Nice analysis by Stephen Langdon Jr. And that's all we've got for you for all the fall 2018 semester. From everybody here at The Big Hit, myself and my producers, Jake Taylor, Mike Costa, Stephen Langdon Jr., and everybody else that's been involved with The Big Hit, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in spring 2019.